and just sort of lean octopus, all that kind of jazz.
All right, here we go. And I know that you want me to start with this introduction out there. Spawning in on the left side of the map, it is going to be Leenock playing as the Red Abbasid Dynasty in game number 2. And who do we have on the right side, Aussie? It's your time.
Spawning in on the right side in the color blue, playing as the English. It is the one, the only, TheViper. And he's got a scout out at the moment with 2 sheep following him. That is essentially, that's the best I can give you right now. He's just slowly but steadily moving across the map, not doing too much. Leenock just gathering up his gold. We do not have any early shenanigans coming out from Viper. No early men-at-arms at this stage. It is just simply going to be good old classic English. Good old classic mill rush.
I would have loved to see Viper going for a man-at-arms here at the beginning, though, because if you think about that, the Abbasids need to collect quite a lot of gold at the beginning of the game. They need to get the Feudal Age gold, they need to get gold for fresh foodstuffs, potentially even wheelbarrows. So a Dark Age man-at-arms could have been a reasonable idea here for Viper. We have seen him do that before, but he's going to go for the more eco-focused approach over here. He already has a lumber camp, and he has dropped the mill as well. So I would think that Viper is thinking about Leenock being coming into this game with a fairly passive and eco-focused game plan himself. Because if Viper is going for such a level of eco-focus, I think that is a sign that he's anticipating Leenock to go for something very similar. So he's probably expecting Leenock to go 2 town centers, potentially even 3.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised on a map like this. This is King of the Hill, and it's important to remember that King of the Hill a little bit smaller than the other maps, just because of the forest that runs around the edge of it. However, it can be very easily walled up, and as a result means that typically you're going to see players look to boom a little bit more than what is considered normal. However, there is a mitigating sacred site in the middle. So if your enemy decides that they want to add in an extra TC too many, then you can look to punish it. And do we potentially see a white tower or a white castle come out today? This is my theory. This is my English theory, right? Instead of playing the English and just going for like your standard King's Palace, right? Why don't you add the second town center and go for a fast castle still, but make it the white tower in the middle of the map? Because you could put that white tower up before your enemy can even really get a foothold, and you can subsequently use it as a siege workshop. You can look to get trebuchets out of it nice and early in the castle age. You can make springalds with it. And of course, it acts as a keep. So maybe Viper looks to go that way. Who knows how he looks to play it today.
I couldn't agree more with you. Really, that was a perfect evaluation of the scenario, because 2 town centers is quite uncommon for the English, because most of the time you just want to play 1 TC into King's Palace. But in this map specifically, you could easily get yourself that white tower in the middle, and as you pointed out, that's going to act as a keep, fortifying the middle. By the way, am I right saying that Viper's got what seems to be 19 sheep? Holy smokes. You know, this is one of those scenarios where, yeah, it has to be 19, right?
Isn't Viper from Norway? I didn't realize he was from New Zealand. Look at all those sheep. He is just intent on causing havoc in the paddocks right now. Look at him. He's got so many sheep.
I mean, he's English, so having a lot of sheep is not uncommon for such a nation. But the funny thing here is that neither of these players really care about sheep, because Viper wants to farm and Leenock wants to go for the berries. But that's going to be an amazing amount of backup food that he has under that town center.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I expect that despite seeing those huge amounts of villages, or of sheep rather, that it's unlikely that they're actually all going to get eaten up. They'll probably still be there at the end of the game. But speaking of end of the game, that villager trying to make it to the end of the game as he heads back towards the town center. Viper doing what he always loves to do, just being annoying. Classic Viper right now, just being annoying on the gold mine, harassing with his 2 English scouts. But now we've got that council hall beginning to come up. Nice little council hall. It is a little bit late. Only going for 1 farm in the Dark Age. Obviously got that wheelbarrow up as well. And now we see the age up coming through for Leenock. He is looking to try and take control. But the question is for me, how does Leenock look to play this? He knows what his enemy's up to. He's done the scouting. He's got the scout in the enemy base. And now he looks to drop down the stable. So he's going to be playing it the smart way. So not going to be just going straight 3 town centers naked, you know, that classic, you know, Chinese style that he pioneered.
I love this decision for Leenock, because Viper is playing a fairly greedy game over here. You see his Feudal Age is relatively slow compared to the opponent's Feudal Age here. He wanted to focus a lot on farming. He's got a council hall out for longbows, but the horsemen could easily get rid of those. And if you look at the gold mine here for Viper, that could easily be denied. Then you have the wood line on the right side as well that could be harassed. So the horsemen could do quite a lot of damage over here. I do believe that Viper has scouted that stable though with the 2 scouts he has inside the base of Leenock. And you see the reaction is immediate. He's dropping that barracks. Once again, Viper, swift with the reactions.
Yeah, I suspect that there's probably just going to be a handful of spears out here to deal with it. The main thing he's got to be careful of is the fact that camel archers are very potent at the moment, and you know, a nice little horseman slash camel archer combo is going to be very effective against the English. So the English need to make sure that they've got an appropriate amount of spears to deal with the horsemen, and then at the same time a very decent mass of longbows to be able to take out those camel archers, because that's where the real damage is going to be coming in from. But now Leenock chasing away the scouts of Viper, at the same time walling down towards the south. He is looking to try and take control and begin controlling the narrative on his side, and we see Leenock now beginning to also take stone. There is a lot of things that Leenock is doing. He's also got the wheelbarrow in. Does he have his fresh foodstuffs in? We'll take a look at his House of Wisdom to determine that in a very short moment.
Yeah, he has it. It would have been surprising if he doesn't have it. He does have a wheelbarrow as well, so far so good here for Leenock. Looks like the horsemen will be able to scare away the scouts as well from Viper. Viper still sitting on 2 scouts though, so he didn't lose any of those scouts out there. That could change soon because that horseman was heading towards that scout.
Yeah, he's moving back across the map. He's looking to try and do some damage before the longbows come out. Now going to be chasing that scout all the way back to the town center, but the spearmen as well as the longbows going to be out here to greet, as well as the wolf, not the mighty infantry coming in. You can see he peeked around the corner there, trying to do a bit of damage, and now that wolf just going to that town. You can hear it in the background. The horseman tries to make it underneath the town center, not going to be successful, and it looks like Viper is cleaning up Leenock.
Viper is cleaning up Leenock indeed. Leenock bought himself enough time to get the stone though. First longbows are hitting that stone mine right now, but it's a little too late here for Viper. One concern for Leenock is that Viper could put up a lot of aggression here, and okay, those farms are looking decent. For a moment I thought those farms are misplaced, but that's not the case. It's actually a well-positioned farming eco here for Viper.
Yeah, everything is going to plan. He is a big fan of the Vortex build as well, or at least the Vortex placement. It is a way to slightly eke out a little bit of an advantage. I think it works out to be like 8 food over 8 minutes, something like that. Is you know, it's a very, very minimal, but it does keep your villagers a bit safer. Leenock now dropping down that second town center, 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Not a bad little timing for him. Keep in mind, he's playing as the Abbasid dynasty, so it means his villagers are going to be coming in at half cost. So essentially spending the same amount of food, or the same amount of food, rather, as Viper is, but getting twice the villagers for it.
But one of the concerns that Leenock is facing is that we could see for a brief moment that those longbows have denied the berries, and take a look at where the hunts are for Leenock, both on the southern part. And remember how many sheep Viper has? Viper has like 16, 17, which means Leenock has barely any. Leenock is going to start starving very soon here. Barely any food left to work with. You see only a handful of carcasses under the town center, and this is a growing concern for him right now.
Yeah, but now it looks like Leenock has had enough with the presence inside his base. Turns around and begins to focus down those units. The spearmen going to be doing a great job of stopping all the damage coming through there, bracing and preventing the horsemen from getting in onto those spearmen, or onto those longbows rather. But now the archers doing a great job as well behind this, taking out the spearmen. And it looks like Leenock going to be able to establish himself as the dominant controller of this area. His remaining horsemen going to be able to clean up this position, but oh no, Viper coming in with more reinforcements. Where is Leenock's wall? Typically, you would see players wall off the front gate in this position, but Viper, he's got an open gate right now, so he's very happy just doing him.
Yeah, Leenock didn't really have the time to wall this off. There is also a bit of a ridge that Viper can use to come down towards those berries. Looks like some reinforcements will be intercepted over here, but Viper, he once again wants to go for that feudal age pressure over here. Pulling villagers to drop a forward tower. He doesn't want to let this slip out of his grasp, and I think that's the wise decision here. Think about that. Leenock is going to start starving very soon. You see double archer ranges being dropped, triple archer ranges in fact. But how is Leenock going to afford spamming out units for a sustained amount of time with such a low amount of food inside his base?
That is the question, isn't it? So hopefully he's going to be looking to go into food or units that aren't food heavy, and that's exactly what he's doing. So massing up archers at this point in time, and I think that's going to be the right decision. It's one of the things that we actually haven't seen the Abbasid dynasty try against the English. So maybe he has found the secret Abbasid dynasty tech. maybe he's found the secret to the Abbasid dynasty strength. But we can see Viper's economy behind this. Viper already with that double broadaxe upgrade, still yet to get his food upgrade or his mining upgrade, but he's got the wheelbarrow out. Now villagers going to be going down here. It looks like one of them going to be able to get out alive. It makes it just alive. But yeah, the concerning thing now is that behind this, Viper's economy is starting to look good.
No.
We can see the villager counts still pretty close. Oh no, what do you see? You see farms? You see farms? What do you see?
And look at the town center. Beneath the town center, there was like 7-8 villagers idle as well. This is a horrible, horrible scenario for Leenock to be in, because you have a pretty decent amount of archers now out for him. So we're talking about 11 longbows versus 11 archers, but if Viper just takes an even trade here, he can still further deny those berries, and it's going to be next to impossible for Leenock to replenish the army. You see villagers under the town center now standing idle, actually rallying against those longbows. Almost now or never for Leenock here.
Yeah, he really needs to get out of here. I just need to see a wall from Leenock, something to prevent these units from continuing to move down. But now we see the villagers beginning to move around on that position. More villagers going to be going down here, getting picked off. Longbows doing such a great job of falling back. And now instead going to be going for an outpost to try and secure up this position. Not sure how I feel about it as more villagers continue going down. I still wonder, where is that wall from Leenock? And Leenock needs to build more walls. It is a bit of a meme, but at the same time, it's a relevant meme because, well, to be honest, there's just a single wall in here just stops all of this from happening. It really just prevents it, and it enables him to have that big food economy, allows him to get his mass up. Meanwhile, Viper behind this, as you mentioned, he's got 17 sheep. He's a New Zealand sheep farmer right now, and Viper making a bit of a mistake, a rare mistake in his base building. Look at that. Not going to be able to fit that farm in, that extra 10th farm in, because the mill was a bit too close for comfort to the town center.
Yeah, that's a bit of a sloppy placement of farms over there. Not going to be a full disaster for him. He probably was focusing mostly on his army and just misclicked the mill placement. Not a full disaster. What's more important for him, though, is that he's starting to add men-at-arms over here against the archers. He's adding siege engineering as well. So he's going to amp up the pressure. The good news for Leenock is that he was able to get himself to the southern part of his base with all the berries and hunts. So his food eco is now back on track. Villager count also back on track because he has 2 town centers. So I think Leenock, given the circumstances, has managed to recover very effectively and very efficiently.
Yeah, that's a good point. And keep in mind, he did lose villagers, but as you said, he's got the second town center up. It's ready. It is pumping up units, or pumping out units, rather. But now he's in a bit of a difficult spot. I think he's got the arrow slits up on that outpost that he did build, so that's going to be able to hold out the units for the moment. But now we see Viper with the smart tech. He says, hey, you want to mass up archers? That's fine. I got a little trick up my sleeve, and he pulls out the men-at-arms. So now we see the archers coming in to help out with the deer down towards the south. I'm not sure if you guys saw that, but those archers were intently killing all of that. But look at the men-at-arms rallying across the map right now. Viper is intent on taking down Leenock.
Yeah, and that's going to be a concern for Leenock. I wonder if Leenock knows what's in preparation here, because he seems to be fairly confident sitting back right now. He's got 25 archers, 3 horsemen, so his entire army is just archers. But Viper's got comparable numbers of longbows and a lot of men-at-arms to soak up arrow fire with. Campfire also in here for Viper to heal up all those longbows. And Viper's got the sustainability, so it's not like Viper's going to ever run out of food. He can just spam men-at-arms and longbows all day. Another barracks is being dropped. Could be a full switch into men-at-arms, as now that battering ram is being sent in to deal with the tower.
Yeah, I think you might be 100% right. We see that Leenock is slowly researching that +1 pierce armor. It's going to be imperative that he's got this because in the situation that he's in right now, playing up against Viper, Viper has got 4 armor on his men-at-arms, whereas these archers only do 5 damage. So he's going to effectively double his damage against them by getting this upgrade. So he really needs it to come in. You can see it's still coming in. He's now beginning to struggle as the spearmen begin to move forward towards those horsemen. At the same time, archers falling back. Men-at-arms chasing as well as they can. Longbowmen on the back line beginning to fire off at villagers as well. We can see villagers going to get pulled towards that battering ram. +1 still coming in for Leenock. He's going to be moving around with the horsemen, managing to make their way back towards the longbows, and he's found himself a little bit of an opening. The villagers getting in on the action as well. Battering ram going to be chased away by the villagers, but the villagers are also coming back now for the longbows. A lot of damage coming out right now that Leenock is suffering, but the +1's finally come in. But the question is it too little, too late?
It's likely too late over here. He was able to clean up so many of those longbows. He took down the ram as well, but he just had no answer to those men-at-arms. Plain and simple, no answer to those man-at-arms. They're still alive with a pretty good HP. Villagers now exposed on the southern part of Leenock's base here. And with Viper picking up potentially 5, 6, 7 villagers here, it's once again going to be an even villager count. The villagers will try to make a run for it to the right side. There is a gate on those walls, so they could flee to the far right. That is a massive, massive help here for Leenock. Viper, once again, amping up the pressure on the starting base with the Rams. And Viper is going to be like, okay, you can leave with those villagers because I'm going for your base, man.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, Viper is happy to see those villagers go because now all of a sudden that's less units or less villagers to kill his Rams. So now he begins to really turn the focus towards the main base. And Leenock's going to be adding a lumber camp down towards the south, but realistically, he probably could have even just taken Viper's berries at this point.
Possibly, that could have been an option over there. You see, Viper's even torching down those mills. So he's like, okay, I'm not just taking away your food right now. I want to make sure that you can't access that food, or at least you have to build a new mill for that soon. And the problem for Leenock is that he would love to go to Castle Age over here to get his own man-at-arms, but he simply has no access to gold. He was floating a lot of food, but no gold, because look at that gold mine. That is easily deniable here for Viper. And he's coming in for a two-pronged attack, one from the right side and one from the left side.
Yeah, I think the big question for me at this point in time is Viper looking to emulate that same success he had in the first game. Is Leenock going to be repeating that same build order that we saw in the first game? It is the classic 2 town center into good game, and I'm fearful for Leenock right now because it's not looking pretty. Viper's got a great position here down towards the south, battering ram, longbows, as well as the men-at-arms coming out in force. And at the same time, up towards the north, you can see he's working in from double angles, almost going for a double team right here, Viper. There's only 2 players in the game, yet Viper finds a way to bring out a third. Viper, that's illegal in 42 countries. I don't know how you're managing to do it, but still he continues applying pressure right now. Men-at-arms on the front line, going to be looking to come in and clean up all of these units, trying their best, but now beginning to move back towards those archers. Horsemen coming out as well, getting in on those longbows. At the same time, reinforcements through the middle of the map, going to be looking to be picked up there by Leenock. He's doing a great job of cleaning it up. At the same time, towards the north, he's losing more and more infrastructure. The south, there's action all over this map. Leenock trying to clean up this mess. Has Viper made a crucial mistake? Has he split up his army a little bit too early? And now all of a sudden the battering ram going to be going down. Leenock starting to look a little bit better. The military count starting to look healthier for him. But now the men-at-arms continue funneling in towards the wood line. Lidakor, I don't know how Leenock is going to be able to hold this, but he seems to be doing relatively well.
Given the circumstances, he's doing the best he can. He intercepted some reinforcements on the right side. He cleaned up the force on the left side, and really maybe if Viper just groups up his entire army, it would have been a little more effective. But you gotta appreciate the fact that Viper is still sitting at 17 men-at-arms, and those are the real difficult dudes to deal with. Villagers now being pulled towards those battering rams on the right side. All that villager lead that Leenock has had is gonna be gone in a split second. Looks like Viper hesitant to take this fight over here, though. He's retreating away from those horsemen. Rams getting taken down over here, and Leenock, he could once again live to see another day.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. All those battering rams go down. The push gets stalled out. But keep in mind, Viper has traded out a lot of villagers at this point. His economy behind this looking incredible. He's got his food upgrade for once. He actually gets the food upgrade. There are so many games that he plays as the English, and he just never gets the food upgrade. But man-at-arms in the economy right now. Wall's not yet coming up. Leenock once again failing to wall. There are so many points in this game where I'm just thinking, a single wall would have helped out a huge amount in this scenario. But Leenock, a couple of idle villagers. He's going to be okay. The archers coming back, looking to clean up the remaining men-at-arms on his farms here. And Viper now going to be adding in the 7th ram of the game, the 8th ram of the game. There's been a lot of rams this game, but look at the men-at-arms coming in, funneling into the base of Leenock. It's starting to look worrisome as that battering ram begins to batter down the hatches. 32 archers for Leenock. That's all he's got. He's got nothing else. But now beginning to make camel archers, and an interesting development. Camel archers will be very effective against men-at-arms. If he can get a good mass of them out, then definitely he could use them to defend against that push when it begins coming in. But now begins pushing forward again. Lidakor, I don't know if he's going to be able to hold this. The men-at-arms are coming out in force. At the same time, villagers moving forward. Once again, a lot of action beginning to unfold in this game. We can hear the bells just ringing like crazy right now for Viper. That men-at-arms looking to just get in there and do some damage. But look at the way Leenock moves up to these archers, looking to take out all of these longbows.
Beautiful micro over here by Leenock. I mean, he's using the mobility advantage on those archers so effectively. He's ignoring the men-at-arms. He knows he can't kill them right now, but he focuses down all the longbows, and I feel like Leenock has taken a spectacular fight over here. He's down by 12 villagers right now, so he has taken a massive beating, but he managed to stall out Viper's push. There is still a force on the southern part, and that's going to be a disaster. Look at the amount of dead bodies around there.
That's a lot of dead bodies. That's not something that you ever really want to see. But now Viper looks to try and push in once again. Longbows down towards the south. Leenock really struggling. Men at arms. He's doing a bit of the ring around the Rosie. Camel archers working together in tandem with their foot soldier brethren, but now we can see that there are archery ranges that just never got built. And now Longbows moving into the wood line. Once again, Viper forcing his opponent to be idle. He is really struggling, and now at the same time, do we have a potential raid down towards the south? You can see Viper is struggling, or Viper has a unit down towards this position. Oh no, villagers everywhere dying. Leenock on 37 villagers right now. Viper on 60. Even if Leenock manages to hold this, I start to worry for his life because Viper is so far ahead in the economy. And at this point, it's important to remember he's playing the English, which is a civilization which has got a great economy. Wheelbarrow together with horticulture stacked so incredibly well on their farms. And it just means he's so far ahead right now.
Oh, this is such a heartbreaker for Leenock. I mean, his defense was spectacular. Given the circumstances, this was an 11 out of 10 defense. If he had some walls to prevent such raids from coming in, he could have lost like half the villagers that he did. I feel like he's just too deep in this hole now because Viper is going to have enough momentum to launch another assault and Leenock won't be able to hold off a new one. He's down to 36 villagers. If he somehow finds a way to miraculously hold this one, he's gonna have a chance at rebooming, but I think this villager count is just a little too low for this one. I feel like he has taken too big of a beating.
I think you're 100% right with that. And now we can see that Viper is beginning to add battering rams in. At the same time, there were a couple of longbows down towards the south, stalling out a couple of villagers on that lumber camp. Men at arms beginning to build up. They've got all the upgrades that they need right now. Still yet to begin pushing in, but at the same time, the battering ram's going to do all the pushing for them. He just needs to take it slow and methodical from here, and it's going to be the game. Keep in mind, he needs to make sure that there's no potential window for Leenock to get back into this game. Leenock is down by a lot of population at this point. More than 40 population separates these two players. And Viper incredibly trying to take this set by 2-0. A lot of people coming into this set predicted that it would be a 3-game series because these two players typically very evenly matched. But Viper seems to have had pretty decent matchups this game. Seems to have had pretty decent game knowledge as well. But now the Camel Archer is beginning to come out and force a few horsemen out here as well. Where is the food economy from Leenock, and how is he able to afford these units?
He's got a couple of berry villagers out there, and once again, Leenock is taking a spectacular fight. The last 3 or 4 minutes, ever since those cavalry archers hit the field, he has been taking good and amazing fights, one after another. The problem is that he's just under so much pressure, and you see Viper, at this point, he's just spamming men-at-arms into the food eco and slowly bleeding out Leenock out there. Leenock is basically living off those berries that he still has to the south. Once those are gone, which will happen in just a split second, you could see those pretty much depleted already. He's not going to have any food income. He could still take the hunt, but I'm not sure this is going to be sufficient to repel all these assaults, and many of his farming eco is just too exposed. Viper's going to launch another assault once again, 56 army versus 28, and I feel like the numbers are just too great now for Leenock to repel. He's going to tap out. Viper grinds down Leenock and takes a 2-0 win here.
Good game, well played. Viper victorious. There you go, fellas. A lot of people came into this set. They didn't expect it to go this quickly. And I tell you what, it was an impressive set coming out from Viper. The fact that he stayed in Feudal both times and looked to finish Leenock, knowing that Leenock is a very greedy player. Viper takes advantage of it, and he puts the aggression into overdrive. Very well played. And look at that villager count. Absolutely disgusting right there. Viper just, very methodical, one villager at a time. Leenock trying to get ahead. Unfortunately, keeps getting tapped out.
Yeah, that was the problem here. I feel like by the time Leenock had the army to repel Viper, he didn't have the eco. So you see the military graph. Like, by that 17-minute mark, we're looking into a scenario where Leenock had a comparable army to Viper. And it was just a little too late. The reason why he starts dropping rapidly is because he simply wasn't able to afford replenishing those units. And as you pointed out before, if we saw some little walls on the front here for Leenock, he could have bought himself just enough time to get some more archers out on the field and really just prevent those berries being denied in the first place, because that's where things started snowballing out of control. Those berries being denied for so long. Remember, at some point, Leenock had basically no food eco.
Yeah. And that's exactly it. It's kind of wild to me, but just a single wall along that front stops so much because the first longbows come in. They begin denying food. And then all of a sudden, everything just goes downhill from there because you can't gather food. And now because you can't gather food, you can't make horsemen. And now because you can't make horsemen, the longbows are suddenly more potent. And it just snowballs out of control because Leenock needs to make walls, and that's it. So unfortunately for Leenock and for Leenock's girlfriend, very sorry, Kim, Leenock gets knocked out of this round. Keep in mind there is still a third round available. That will be happening next weekend.